Hello there and welcome back to the channel. So let's do at least one final Nier Reincarnation video. In this video, I'm going to go through my favorite costumes from each series. And I'm over here on NierReincarnationRecap.com. I'll link that in the description. And I was able to back up my save data before the game ended for this cool little recap that we can look at first. So I did hit day 1000 on the final day. Max Force I didn't really try for. I probably could have exceeded 600k with what I had. Definitely my proudest achievement was getting rank 1 and with a pretty high average, and then subjugation was whatever. I didn't try very hard there. Costumes collected 268. It should be 269 because I got ROD Griff right before the game ended and it didn't update here. But this is really cool. We can actually look at my arena rankings over time. So I got 85 in Season 1, and then some skewed performance as the game was developing. And, you know, let the early game tryhards do what they do. And then by, I don't know, Season 14, you can see here I'm like staying in the top 20 the whole time. Mostly top 10 and a lot of top 5. And we can look at the exact breakdown here. So 85 Season 1, and then some, you know, whatever ranks, and then top 100 by Season 6, top 50 by Season 7, and then my first top 5, which was also my first top 10, Season 14. And in fact, the thumbnail for that video is where I got my avatar, my laser eye avatar. And the 555, it was kind of cool because that was like a kind of like a common theme on the channel here. I had beaten a really hard battle with only 555 HP left in one of my more notable streams. And then yeah, again, some like whatever ranks here, and then some top 10s, and like again the rank 1 that I got Season 23, and then a lot of top 5s in a row, 3 rank 3s in a row. Then around here is where I was playing a lot of Ever Crisis, not trying so hard. And then the final I did, and of course you can watch my video on that. I got rank 5 in the final season ever. Actually, you should watch that. The video didn't make its rounds very much. Okay, then my subjugation scores over time. Again, didn't try hard here. But look, I was getting my SSS scores from the beginning, Season 1, and then, you know, got my pluses when I needed them, and then just kind of left it there, as long as they were plus. But in any case, let's get to the meat of this video. We want to talk about favorite costumes of all time from each series. And this is going to be really cool here. So that recap you saw from me, there's going to be like a multiplayer ranking based on those criteria. And I don't know if you can get your save data in. I don't think you can do it anymore. And I'm sorry I didn't report on it sooner. I actually didn't get this done until like maybe 2 hours before the game ended. And you needed Square Enix Bridge, and you needed a Square Enix account, not just like logging in with socials. And not even just logging in with socials on the Square Enix Bridge. No, you had to have an actual Square Enix account, and it was the only way to do it. And I actually had to make an account with 2 hours left just to do this. And furthermore, you have to download an EXE to do it. And while I trust the developers, I feel weird about asking YouTube viewers to download an EXE onto their PC. So again, it's safe. I scanned it. It's safe. I know the developer, but anyway, let's again get into the meat of the video here. We're going to talk about favorite costumes from each series. Great, let's get right into it. So we have Abstract, and there are a lot of cool ones at the beginning. You know, like someone had usage, like Rion, I believe, had a pursuit buff to party or something like that. And or maybe even like flat vigor. I can't even remember at this point, but it doesn't matter because he's not my vote. Abstract Gale was pretty cool in the beginning, got buffed later. But most of these were like launch units that didn't really, you know, last the test of time. For me, it's an obvious choice. My vote goes to Abstract Ruler, Yuri. When she came out, she had higher base agility. Not in an agi passive, but higher base agility. And yeah, I believe crit rate and bold vigor And she was just awesome to build as a sniper at the time. Out of all the abstracts, very strong. However, you know, honorable mention to U-Deal, and Sarafa had her usage as a support. Yuzuki was DPS, but Yuri is my vote for sure. All right, Bloody. The usage-wise, it should go to Gale because she was a super useful Agi supporter in Arena. But I am going to vote for, you know, some people might like Bloody Soldier because of like defense gimmicks, or Bloody Griff for like he was an awesome provoke tank at the time. But I'm gonna go with Bloody Gunman Demos. He was so cool, and I never even really got to use him. It's too bad, but with Awakenings, he could have been really cool because he had crit rates and Bold Vigor as his passives. And yeah, in his time, he could actually be a very sneaky, effective character. And I love Demos. He just looked cool. My vote goes there. All right, let's go to Bloodless. So some of these are just kind of, they were okay, like okay at launch, but not even great. And then Bloodless, Lavanya was like an example of one that just got completely power crept all the way. Like not many units got completely obsolete, and he did. Bloodless Assassin, never that great. My vote goes with Bloodless Demos. Again, I love Demos, and the Plague Doctor mask and him being a sniper, he was awesome. That's an obvious choice. Let's move right on. Lacrima, it's going to be Lavanya. I loved Lacrima Lavanya. He's one of my all-time favorite costumes of all the costumes, not just of the Lacrimas. So it had like passive timed vigor to party, and he had like a pursuit passive to himself. He was super strong. Lacrima Griff was really useful. He was used a lot, and I never had a lot of like Ascensions or Awakenings on him when he was meta in Arena, unfortunately. All right, Fractured. Let's get on with it. So, oh man, Demos again. I loved him so much, but let's look at all of these. Yeah, it's gonna be Noelle because she was a groundbreaking Arena sniper, and let's see, most of these like weren't that useful, unfortunately. All right, Mechanical. So, yeah, again, I'm gonna go with the snipers. But oh man, Hina was so cool. She was cool, but I like never used her. It's Mechanical Gale. She was an incredibly good sniper, super strong, super fast, and yeah, I used her a lot. So that's an obvious choice for me. All right, Summer. Oh man, Summer. There's a lot of good ones here. Oh man, you know, usage-wise, of course, it's like Summer Yuri because of how much she shook up the meta and just kind of ushered in a completely new Arena strategy. And then, you know, from there, Arena was never the same. But for me, it's got to be Summer F66X, the only compromise unit for the longest time, and I used her so much, and man, that was awesome. Honorable mention to Summer Noelle as being a great sniper, but I never got to use her. I had just invested in Priet, the sniper, Shadowbound Priet, right before her. And they were throwing a lot of costumes at us at the time. Actually, like, went through all of my gacha spending for 2023. It didn't look very good, my friends. Did not look very good, and I'm glad I didn't go even harder and try to get Noelle. It's rough, you know? It's rough keeping up with a gacha game like this. All right, favorite Christmas unit. Man, there's a lot of good ones. There's Christmas Gale, one of the best healers, you know, to the very end. A lot of strong DPS in here. Akeha, one of the most useful supporters of all time. And then Saryu, just really cool. I'm tempted to vote for her just because she's so cool, but and then Priya too, just really strong DPS and just looked awesome. But we gotta go with Marie. Probably got maybe, I don't want to say more usage, but she was just so good with that 70% damage reduction to party and then crit damage buff to party. Since her release just now in December, used her a lot. And it's Marie, you know, she's a community favorite. Gotta put Marie in there somewhere. Okay, New Year. So let's see here. Yeah, Sarafa obviously being the most broken unit in the entire game. Nier Udiel being like the counterpart. And what we needed to counter her and really effective units. But let me look here. Oh god. Nier Yuri was so cool when she came out. Her costume visually is one of the best in the game, and she was so strong as a wind DPS. So is Nier Griff, and he looked really cool. This is a tough one. Nier Baldi ushered in the Provoke tank, introduced that role. That's huge. Who gets my vote here? Yep, some welfares. Oh man, Nier Marie was a great light support. I guess I have to go with Nier Sarafa. I hated going up against her, but man, was she fun to use. Of course, she deserves it. She was the most broken unit in the entire game. All right, Celeb. Oh man, this is going to be tough. This is going to be tough. I'm tempted to just click on Celeb Gale and just call it a day, but let's look at everyone and talk a little bit here. We have the best healer in the game, Celeb F66X. We have like the best Provoke tank in the game, Celeb Udiel. Where is he? I passed him up somewhere. Yeah, down here. Celeb Yuri was like the groundbreaking DPS, generalist DPS with that nuclear bomb of a character skill. That's, man, she deserves it too. Yeah, so, like these three, like Sarafa the DPS, Yuzuki the DPS, Hina the supporter, who is good after Karma only. Marie was great, but I never had Awakenings on her. Sorry, you could have been good, but somehow just never hit hard enough. I'm gonna have to go with... Oh, man. Yeah, it's gonna have to be Gale. She was just, like, available in week 3. Was really strong then. Went on to be, like, a standby DPS in Subjugation because of her Bold Vigor. Later got buffed to be an Agi sniper and was, like, the strongest Agi sniper. And she's just such a classic unit over the life of the entire game. It's hard to not pick Celeb Gale. All right, let's keep it going. That's Celeb. So then we got Fest. We've only had 2 Fest banners. And man, yeah, Fio deserves a vote because like she was like the best generalist after her release. And then like really strong DPS over here, Gale. Everyone hates Lavanya. He looked really cool. And I'm done talking about him. But yeah, Yuri, of course, like strong DPS. I'm gonna go with Saryu. I love Saryu's character in general, and she was another 70% damage reduction to party. I used her in Arena a lot, and yeah, I don't know. Out of all the Fest, I think she's my favorite, and she looks really cool. All right, Shadowbound. This is an easy one. Pre-it, because man, Murder Kitty was. Look at my last Arena video. There's one where like F66X tries to come at her with an AA at the beginning of battle, and she counters and one punches her to death, and then she gets revived, and then Priet like one punches her to death again, and then just like it's just destruction, and the battle's over in 10 seconds. And when she introduced, oh my god, it was ruthless. It was terrifying. Remember Aces of Arena having to go up against those bot teams with her? There was like 1 or 2 strats that worked. Yeah, ruthless. After Karma, she was just even more insane. Abyssals. Costume series that like looked great at the beginning, but then a closer look that the slower cooldowns really killed them. So the whole like first half or more of Abyssals just weren't that great. F66X came out and kind of flipped it a bit, even in that earlier phase where she was, a great win supporter. If you're trying to push Subjugation, you definitely wanted her. Then they started to get good when they changed the penalty to Agi instead of cooldown. And there's a lot of really cool ones. Like Yuri was so cool, and then Marie was really cool with that instant character skill. I only got to use her at the very end, but the obvious choice here is Abstract Hina, one of my favorite costumes. And if you saw, she was still my profile avatar, and she was like the strongest DPS in the game, if not like one of like top 3 strongest DPS in the game. Her crit damage value was just so absurd. It was so beyond broken. It was like a New Year Sarafa level broken level of crit damage. And man, she was just awesome. Looked really cool too. And Hina is also one of my favorites. So that's an easy choice there. A lot of good ones in here though. All right, Divines. I loved the Divines. Oh my God, I want to vote for all of them. They're so cool. Like that passive pursuit to party. They're broken support character skills. But for me, it's gotta be Udeal with that Dauntless gimmick. And exploiting that in Arena was so fun. His character skill came charged 50% at the beginning of battle. And upon 2 skills and a little bit of like adding some whatever you call it, the character skill reduction somewhere, or just getting an AA, his character skill was ready right away. And man, it could be a pain for the enemy if your whole team had Dauntless for 30 seconds. I loved using him. He's one of my all-time favorite, definitely a top 5 of all costumes, favorite costume right here. EX costumes. Man, who am I going to go with? It's going to be either Lavanya or Lars, because in the early game, they're both so useful. Lars was the first time I hit damage cap. It was the first time a lot of us hit damage cap. And yeah, that crit damage multiplier was ridiculous. It's the first time we saw that the timed crit damage multiplier, the buff, you know? But I really used EX Lavanya the most, and I used him in Arena a lot, even well into the life of the game. He was just so generally useful. And everyone's weapons, almost everyone's weapons were great. But yeah, it's going to be EX Lev from me. All right, ROD characters. So it kind of started off a little slow, and they started to get really good at the end, with some of them having like passive pursuit buff to party. The best one is obviously Baldy. Like ROD 063Y was so awesome, and I regret not like spending more time upgrading him fully. It would have been really cool to use him. Yep, and yeah, this was an interesting series. They were kind of like the EXs where they had that like a passive wasted on like an element resist, but yeah. Baldy was great, and on all of like the X subjugation X scores I saw, like he was used as a supporter. So good generalist supporter, really strong himself. He was really cool on some arena teams out there too. All right, favorite Drake Nier costume. Who do we have here? All of the Nier series crossover costumes. This is a tough one. A2 was the most important. Like, obviously, she was like the early game DPS that lasted us for an entire year. But for me, a special place in my heart always goes to 2P. She was my first 90. She was the one I rerolled for. First one I maxed. And when Karma released, she was like my only A4. I think she was A4. So, yeah, a lot of these weren't great at all. This one was really good, though. The sniper, Nier, was really good. I used him a lot. And I won my only rank 1 finish in Arena with him. So, but it's going to go to 2P. Stino Alice. Oh, man, they were all so good. The fire DPS, Akeha, the fire support, Noelle, and the defense break Noelle that was used on every subjugation team I used. But for me, Stino Saryu was my favorite costume of all time. Out of all the costumes in the game, she was my favorite. She was triple threat supporter, especially useful as an Agi supporter, but buffed everyone's crit rates and timed attack as well. And oh my man, she really changed Arena, made things really scary in Arena, and yep, I love the costume look. All of these looked awesome, but yeah, this is a shoo-in because she's my all-time favorite. Oh, Final Fantasy series. Here we go. So a lot of cool ones here. Noelle was like a really strong DPS when she released. Good generalist. Udeal is so awesome. And I'm tempted to pick Udeal. Sorry, you looked really cool too, but Udeal was like one of my favorite looking costumes. Really busted light DPS. But Lars was the first 30% Agi supporter. He was vicious because he had Whirlwind Pursuit passive. So he was an arena god, and he also won me my rank 1. He was part of that same team. So the team was Celeb Udeal, Lars, and then the Nier. On that team, Nier was just built to be super fast. He was weak and fast to be faster than everyone. And Lars had his 14-14 weapon to just eviscerate everything in his path before anyone else could cool down, even though I used Udeal's provoke. So, yep, that was fun. I'll link that one too. You can watch my rank 1 finish video. Persona. Now, Joker definitely deserves it because he was generally awesome, useful on like every subjugation team. He was strong as a DPS, and he was a defense break supporter. But my favorite was Crow, and you've probably seen me use him a lot in Arena. He was Bold Vigor and had crit rate buff to party, and he was so fun to use and had a really cool looking character skill that, you know, could light off in Arena quite often if you're using like tank teams and whatnot. I loved using Crow, and a lot of the emotes I have on my server are based on Crow. So awesome. All right, there's one more in Dragon Quest, and this one's a tough one because I don't like any of them that much. So Rion was a pain to go up against paired with New Year Serafa. This Serafa was a very effective provoke tank that solved the problem of the growing power creep and how even using provoke tank Celeb Udeal, he might die in a skill or two because everyone was so powerful. But Serafa got a very limited time Dauntless, and if you could time things right, she was very effective for that reason. But timing it right was very annoying, and you almost had to like cue it right before their skills, let them use their skills, hope to that they would use 3 skills and that you would get in between their next set. You couldn't always do it. It wasn't reliable. I hated using her. So I'll go with the community favorite again, Marie, because she was a really cool light DPS and maybe the strongest light DPS of all time. I never got her, but I'll vote for her. She's awesome. That's going to conclude it. Let's see what happens when we submit here. I don't know if I have to like log in or prove who I am or what. But in any case, that's submitted. Bing, bang, boom. So again, I'll link this site in the description. It's NierReincarnationRecap.com. So you can at least come here and cast your vote for your favorite costumes. And then poke around the site and see what else you like here. Community favorites. Yeah, also story award, favorite story, favorite characters. So yeah, come on over here, cast your vote. Again, thanks for everyone for joining me on this journey, being part of this community. I really appreciate all the friends that were made here. It's tough to say goodbye to Nier Reincarnation, but like any gacha, they all end at some point. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all. That's going to be it for this one, and I will see you in the next one.